Well, howdy folks, welcome to Jareditton. Today we're going to be talking about the rootin' tootin' shootin' Wild West. Yeehaw! The American Wild West. It's one of the most intriguing and fascinating pieces of American culture, where there are saloons, horses, roping, rodeos, outlaws, gunslingers, and especially cowboys. Wait, no, not those ones. Those cowboys. The Wild West has brought forth Western films, TV shows, and of course, video games, all the way from the Atari to current days now. But the game that I want to focus on is Sunset Riders. Sunset Riders is a shoot-'em-up video game that was developed by Konami and originally released in arcades in 1991, that later received both Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis ports. Keep in mind that the Sega port is pretty different from the Super Nintendo port because it follows a different line of levels, bosses, and level design. The Super Nintendo version plays very similar to the arcade version, but censors a lot of what the arcade puts out. This is due to slight sexual content, and some racist undertones. Basically, a game creator likely couldn't create Sunset Riders without being ridiculed on Twitter and some fat slob's Tumblr. I'll be focusing on the Genesis port since it was my favorite and it's the one that I grew up with, but I'll be sure to mention some of the differences in the video, so let's go. Sunset Riders is your basic run-and-gun shoot-'em-up game about a group of bounty hunters that take on outlaws, bandits, and a major wanted criminal at the end of each stage, or each second act on the Genesis version. There are two characters to choose from, or four on the arcade and Super Nintendo, with two different styles of shooting, shotgun bursts with Cormano, or precise revolver shots with Billy. I prefer Cormano because it has a fuller shot, even though Billy's pistols have a wider range, so pick your poison. Throughout the game, the player can collect power-ups for their gun to make it shoot faster or with better range. The player can do this by shooting some bandits that are holding the power-up, or by going into a brothel and making sweet old cowboy love with a nice little lady. You know, sometimes I feel like I should be painting you. Oh, by the way, thanks for the bullets. They're gonna go really good with this. The first level involves going after Simon Greedwell. After he's dead, he says to bury him with his money.
Bury me with my money.
Yeah, no, I'm turning him in, dead or alive. And I kind of went the dead route, so I'm gonna take his wallet. Thank you very much. Let's see what we got in here. 24, 60, 80. Only 80 bucks? For some rich dude? Well, actually, back then, that actually was a lot of money back in those days, so drinks on me, boys! A cool thing about this game is that there are bonus levels, so the player can stock up on lives and earn cash for that high score you could brag to your friends about on the playground. The second level of Sunset Riders takes place on a train, and the player is going after a guy named Paco Loco. If this game was in real life, though, you wouldn't be able to get the dead or alive reward money, because he throws himself off the train after he gets shot up.
I'm going to jump! No! Do a flip!
Warning. What you're about to see may seem kinda racy and may offend some people, but keep in mind that this is a silly game that was made about 29 years ago. The third level starts off by running through a Native American village and going after Chief Scalpin, or Scalp 'em in the arcade version, which is a pun on scalp them. I'll let you guys make jokes on that one in the comments section because I'm not going to. After defeating the chief, his sister comes by and says,
"Please don't shoot my brother. He was only following orders."
"Well, ma'am, he was throwing knives and trying to stab me.
Please, don't shoot my brother.
Please, this is serious bounty hunter work.
Please, don't shoot my brother.
Seriously, you don't want to interfere.
Please, don't shoot my brother.
That's it, taking you both then!" After defeating the chief, the player is on their way to the final boss, which is the same boss and same fight as the arcade, Sega, and Genesis versions. The boss's name? Sir Richard Rose. Before the boss fight, as in any level, there are multiple enemies shooting bullets at the player, but one thing that the Sega Genesis version does that the arcade and Super Nintendo versions don't is that there is a lightning storm in the background. To me, this makes the last level feel more intense, especially before the final boss fight. The music is epic and it helps intensify the mood. When the player gets to the final boss, the player has to shoot down Richard Rose's balcony while fighting off his cronies and dodging bullets. After the balcony is down, it's mano a mano, with only the player and Richard Rose in a shootout. After Richard Rose is defeated, you go over to his corpse, and of course, you have to teabag him. I mean, come on, you just beat him in a shootout. Side note, there is actually one neat little trick that only exists in the Sega Genesis version. After taking out Richard Rose's balcony, after he jumps down, he gets shot and he'll jump back up on the balcony floor, land on dynamite that he set out for himself, thus killing himself. So after the shootout, Richard Rose is defeated, and... Wait. What? He's not dead? Oh, he's wearing a bulletproof vest. Round 2, fight! The music intensifies. It plays faster. Richard Rose is on his last dying breath. He's shooting faster. He's moving with less predictability. It's the final showdown, and then... he's dead. We get that beautiful Rose animation, and... Yahoo! So, that's the end of Sunset Riders. As the main character's riding to the sunset, so will I. Well, I don't really have a horse, so I can't really ride into the sun. But, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Now, I must go.